Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm here to talk to you about Barnes & Noble Book Fest. I was lucky enough to go to day one, and I'm sitting in front of all of the advanced reading copies that I was able to snag while I was there on day one. So before I get into what I hauled, let me tell you a little bit about what Barnes & Noble Book Fest is. Barnes & Noble of Union Square, New York City, hosts a book festival every spring. Usually it's in March. There are 2 days of the festival. The first day is this ARC Bonanza, which is what I was lucky enough to go to this year and last year. And day two, which is usually on the Saturday of the weekend, hosts panels with different authors who are also doing signings after the panel. This year I went to day one, and day one consists of 45-minute time slots from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. And every 45 minutes, a new rotation of bookish people come in. I was lucky enough to get a 6 o'clock slot this year. Last year I was the first slot at 3 o'clock. And I think there were some pros to being a 6 o'clock versus 3 o'clock like I was last year. Basically, when you go in, you are queued up, and the first person in line is usually the first person to get there. So some people get there ahead of time, but Barnes & Noble usually has a cut as to the earliest time that you can get there. I only got there about 30 minutes before my time slot, and I still got in and still got more than 10 books. As you go through Bookstagram, you can see some people get up to 40 books. I was trying to be a little bit more conservative this year. Last year, I think I got about 20. And this year I got about 14. So I'm excited to share them with you all. The queue, once you get inside, is about 10 to 12 publisher tables kind of set up in a job fair setting. And each publisher table has a certain set of arcs that have not yet been released, and there's only a set for that 45-minute time slot. So truly by the 15-20 minute mark, most of the books are gone, which is wild. Some publishers are able to restock, some are not. The benefit of going at a later slot is that you have an idea of what books publishers may have. So I was kind of keeping up with the book chats as I was on Bookstagram, and kind of had an idea of what I was looking for. And I had 3 in my mind that I saw that were available that I definitely wanted to get, and I got most of them. So yeah, I think that there are some drawbacks to being later, but there are also definitely some positives to being a later time slot, as there is an earlier time slot. So if you have the opportunity to grab a ticket, I definitely would. It's an experience that is unusual in the book world. I have not yet been to BookCon, so I'm not sure what that experience will look like, but this experience can be a little overstimulating. So definitely have your bookish people with you, take some deep breaths, because at the end of the day, an ARC is a privilege. The idea that we get to read copies of books before they come out is a privilege, and I will never take that for granted. So I'm here to go through the books that I got. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into synopses of books that I'm really excited about, give you some dates of when they come out so you can also put them on your TBR. I'm going to go from the books that are coming out the soonest so that we can kind of just go in a time order. And the first one that I'm going to start with is Raybearer, which is actually already out. The next book I got is Aisha, which comes out on Tuesday, March 24th. This book is about a Moroccan warrior goddess who's also a temptress. It has to do with a mix of female rage and fantasy, and it sounds like everything I'm looking for. A woman who succumbs to her desires and starts to bite the head off of her colonizers. Yes. I also grabbed We Burn So Bright by TJ Klune. This book sounds like the coziest little reflective slice of life type of book. This is about a queer couple who is taking a road trip from Maine to Washington. They have 40 days or 30 days left on Earth. Everyone knows that the world is going to and there's a big black hole heading for Earth, and they're trying to finish up some business that is happening in Washington. And in doing so, this couple is kind of like talking about their days and if they've really lived life to the fullest. Comes out on April 28th. The Sawmouth by Cale Platt comes out on May 12th. This is a YA queer horror with a non-binary main character. It's supposed to be atmospheric and scary and has shadows. The tagline on this says, "This story is for anyone haunted by the sins of past generations and fighting to right them." I love an atmospheric thriller. It kind of also sounds like it gives some gothic vibes. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. I also picked up The Lustrous Dark, which is a YA fantasy that comes out on May 19th. Perfect for readers who love political revolutions, fighting the patriarchy, toxic mothers, reawakening the gods, ancient magic, bone-chilling monsters, haunted forests, female friendships, fairy tale retellings, and North African folklore and cinnamon roll love interests. The tagline also says this is for fans of Sabaa Tahir and Guillermo del Toro. And then it also goes on to say that this is also Tim Burton vibes. So honestly, you couldn't name drop more for me to want to pick this up. When Sparks Fly by Monica Murphy comes out on May 26th, this is a contemporary romance that sounds kind of like the premise of It Happened One Summer, in the sense that there is an heiress who is going through a really public and embarrassing breakup and leaves the city to isolate in a summer house. And while she's there, she has a meet cute with, I'm assuming, this firefighter on the cover. And this comes out on May 26th. Then we have A Kiss of Crimson and Ash by Anuja Varghese, and this comes out on May 26th as well. This is a D&D meets Bollywood fantasy romance, and there is some art that has dropped on Anuja's Instagram that I think you should definitely check out and will definitely make you want to read this. This was a little bit of a surprise. I didn't even know that Orbit was having this on their table at BNN Book Fest, so I'm really excited to read it. I haven't read anything from Anuja Varghese, but the art, gorgeous. Cannot wait. Then we have Hunger and Thirst that comes out on June 2nd by Claire Fuller. This is a horror book that sounds so up my alley. Very weird girl lit. Again, I cannot make that distinction until I read it, but the synopsis is definitely giving the vibes. It says this is a captivating new novel of complicated friendship and the desperate, sometimes disastrous need to survive. It takes place in 1987, in the beginning of the story, where our main character, Ursula, has a new job and she's delivering mail to a local art school. And in this job, she finds a wild child friend named Sue. And Sue invites Ursula to come live with her and her found family of misfits at the Underwood, which is a mysterious house whose owners have met a terrible ending. While Ursula is living at this house, Sue dares Ursula to do something very terrible, and Ursula finds herself haunted by doing this terrible dare. Even 36 years later, Ursula continues to find herself haunted and has relocated to London, created a new identity, trying to find new hope and life in her new identity. And in London, she finds herself exposed by a true crime documentarian. And from there, we see where this unfolds. So very horror, thriller, like I said, friendship, but also desperation. And I love those two together. Tia Williams' new book, The Misconnection, comes out on June 16th. I'm so excited to have my hands on this. I'm a huge Tia Williams fan. I've read Audrey and Bash, which is her YA romance. I've read 7 Days in June, and my favorite one that is escaping me, A Love Song for Ricky Wilde, of course. I'm a little bit unnerved by this cover because I feel like A Love Song for Ricky Wilde and 7 Days in June have such beautiful and iconic covers. And this cartoon-esque cover just doesn't give me Tia Williams vibes. And I know obviously the authors don't always have 100% say, or at times any say on their covers. But I don't know. I'm a little bit off put by this. Like, I really, really love A Love Song for Ricky Wilde's cover. It's so gorgeous. Same with 7 Days in June. But I just don't know if I see this for Tia, but we have it, and that doesn't make me any less excited about this book. This is about our main character, Sasha Cruz, who is a casting agent. She's booked and busy. She continues to not have enough energy and not have enough time, which has caused her to put dating on the back burner. In doing so, she is on a flight to Paris, and on the Paris flight, she has a chance encounter with a man her type that changes everything. Let's see what happens in this missed connection. This book comes out on June 16th, and I will be reading it and reviewing it definitely prior to that because I cannot wait. Thornbird by E. Kennedy comes out on June 30th, and this is Al Kennedy's YA debut thriller. This is about a serial killer's daughter and her race to uncover the crimes her family has committed before it's too late. John Wiswell's The Dragon Has Some Complaints comes out on July 14th. This is a cozy fantasy that sounds a little bit more high stakes than I was thinking. Heartfelt and humorous. It's about a dragon who has 3 heads that has 3 different personalities, which I absolutely love. And it sounds like there's some found family. It definitely gives me like Legends and Lattes meets epic fantasy, but still cozy with a definite loving friendship undertone, which I'm a big fan of. This was definitely on my list to grab, but I didn't get it. until I was walking out, and there was this very sweet group of 3 to 4 bookish friends that were counting their doubles, and they had one of these, and I was like, yes, this is exactly what I want to read. This is also by the author. John Wiswell is the author of Someone You Can Build a Nest In, which I have not yet read, but it's a very popular book, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one and that one as well. Then we have No One Leaves the Manor, which also comes out on July 14th by Kelly McWilliams. This is for fans of Their Vicious Games and House of Hollow. It is a YA mystery. And then the last book that I was able to grab is The Iron Hex by Victoria S. Walsh. I was lucky enough to meet Victoria S. Walsh on Bookfest Day 1. She was there signing these ARCs that were given away, and I am so excited. It is Victoria Walsh's debut, but she is definitely giving the vibe of this character. She is so whimsical. This book looks like such a cozy fantasy. The Iron Hex is a book about our main character, Ira Eckhart. She spends years building a quiet life in a small town at the edge of a kingdom that has been overthrown. Her memory is fractured. So she doesn't really remember her past, but she's been putting all of her energy into creating her life in the small town and owns a little cute shop that sounds so cozy. Her life is going pretty well, remains unnoticed. Even though she doesn't remember her past, it has not been impacted by this lack of memory of her past until our main male character, Hugo, walks in. Dun, dun, dun. We'll have to wait and see what happens. This comes out on August 4th and already has an amazing star rating on Goodreads. I was so excited to meet Victoria and have her sign this. It is also in a trilogy, so I'm really excited to read it. And those were all the books that I got at Barnes & Noble Book Fest Day 1. I highly recommend going if you have the opportunity to go. It is nice to put some books on your TBR that maybe you wouldn't have access to outside of that. Just a reminder that ARCs are a privilege, underline, bold, exclamation point. ARCs are a privilege. Advanced reading copies are a privilege. Having the opportunity to have access to an author's work before it is released to the public is a privilege, and I never take that for granted. And opportunities like Barnes & Noble Book Fest give us as readers the availability and accessibility to these advanced reading copies that we normally wouldn't have. And if you do have the chance to go to day 2, I would highly recommend that as well. Last year I did go and I met Geneva Rose, I met Tia Williams, I met a bunch of authors and was able to hear them speak at panels. So I'm excited to do that. BookCon is also coming up as of the next few weeks if you are also located in New York. And if you are going, find me on Instagram and send me a DM, and I hope I get to see you there. That's all I have for you today. I will be doing some more book hauls and bookish content in the near future, so please subscribe and like this video if you have not yet, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!